Here at Helmuth Ford, we are a small-town dealership with no hassle and no pressure.
Hi, this is Stacy from Shuttler Insurance Services. Come see me on the east side of the square in Sigourney for all your insurance needs.
The band Brass Pair is playing this Saturday at the Keswick Tavern at 117 South Iron Street in Keswick. Brass Pair will be playing all your favorite hits live Saturday, March 22nd from 8 to midnight, and there's no cover charge. Come have a fun night with Brass Pair performing at the Keswick Tavern this Saturday night.
Welcome to this edition of Morgan You Asked For podcast. March Madness NCAA tournament time is here. We have the first four games last night. One of those games does affect Iowa State. North Carolina beats San Diego State by about 30. If they would beat Ole Miss on Friday, then Iowa State would play North Carolina. Many people didn't want them in the tournament, but winning by 30, I think there's a lot of teams that don't want to play North Carolina in this tournament because they do have the talent. And we'll get to that later. But since we are centered here in Iowa, the number one story right now from yesterday and moving forward is the Iowa Hawkeyes do not hire Darren DeVries from West Virginia, and he takes the Indiana job. So kind of going down my list first, and I'm joined by Zach Tremmel today. It is Wednesday, so we don't Wednesday evening, afternoon. So we don't have the final, the first four games for tonight yet, but we'll get them. A couple things with DeVries, the Indiana. Some of the rumors, I don't think it's about what he got paid. I don't think that was as big a deal. It was the NIL money and the swarm being involved in men's basketball. Beth Goetz couldn't guarantee the money or wouldn't guarantee the money. The swarm wouldn't guarantee money. Whoever it is, I just have to think that was the thing that DeVries said no, because grew up a Hawkeye fan, played at UNI. Everything I've heard, everything I've read, he wanted to be the Iowa coach. He was available. He wanted out of West Virginia, and he said no. So there was something there that he didn't want, and then went to Indiana. I'm not a Hawk fan. Have one here with Zach Tremmel. Now you can kind of do what you think happened, what happens now, and Hawkeye basketball in general.
Yeah, it was a tough loss for Iowa. Like you said, I think it did come down to money. We can all listen to podcasts and everything. It sounded like I heard, between $2 and $3 million was offered for NIL, and he's going to get up to like $7 million at Indiana. I mean, that's just a no-brainer. Even if they're all things equal, Indiana's still a better basketball job. They're all in at Indiana. They can recruit there better. And then when you throw three times the money, I mean, it's just a no-brainer for him. I understand it from his standpoint. I don't know what Iowa has to do, but they're going to have to pony up around $5 million, I think, to get a big name coach. Obviously we're all in with Ben McCollum now, and he may take it at a lower rate. But like you said earlier, I think as an Iowa fan, I hate to do it, but I'd rather see Drake get knocked out in the first round. I think it'd be a lot easier to get him than if he goes on a little Cinderella run, all of a sudden makes it to the Sweet 16, then he's going to be in play for a lot more jobs, and his price probably goes way up right out of the gates. Because I think X's and O's wise, he's as good as it gets in basketball. If it's D1, D2, it doesn't matter. I mean, he's well respected, and he can get the most out of a $3 million team as you're probably going to get, and that's going to be kind of the coach that I think we're going to have to get. And if we can't get him, I mean, I don't know where they're going to go. They're going to have to. I don't even know. I couldn't even start unless they're going to go with like a Matt Gatens or something like that. I have no clue. But DeVries would have really added a lot of excitement to the program right away. But I get it. He couldn't. He wasn't getting the money. It's a business. Obviously, Iowa didn't think they could afford it, and I don't know what that says. That's tough as an Iowa fan, where you basically know you're 3 times behind Indiana and Michigan State and probably Purdue and those schools before you even start. Doesn't matter what your coach is. So These next few weeks will be intriguing. I think Ben McCollum's probably the favorite, but like you said, if they start winning, he's going to be a hot commodity, and there's probably better jobs out there than Iowa.
Yeah, my thinking on that, if they win, he's going to get in play for Virginia. He's going to get in play for Villanova. I mean, I'd be shocked if he's not already in play for Minnesota, being from Northern Iowa, and just in general, that's just a play there. And then now he is in play for West Virginia, I believe, because there is a connection there. The AD at West Virginia was the AD at Northwest Missouri State when he was there. Now, I don't think he hired him, and he left before Ben McCollum left. So it was just during that time that he was there. But that is a connection, so there is a relationship there. I don't know what that is. And it's, you got to think, if I was only offering $2-3 million, I heard this morning that Josh Dix wants $1.5 million to play. And your whole budget is $3 million at Iowa. Now, I think Dix would take less than 1.5 if Fran was still there and playing at Iowa. I do think that. But now that he's in the open market, get what you can, bud. And I don't blame him one bit. Creighton, Iowa State, Nebraska, those all he's from Council Bluffs, so those three all make huge sense. Or go to wherever and just get paid. Who cares? I don't know how big of an NBA prospect he is. Go get what you can now. Don't blame anybody. I think a little bit of the big story is DeVries took the Indiana job. More of a kick to the stones. If he would have stayed at West Virginia and just turned down Iowa, it would have been just a money thing. Like, hey, I don't know if I can do that. But where he took Indiana. Now, Indiana's a blue blood. Indiana's a big-time job, but it was pretty obvious that he wasn't staying at West Virginia. I almost think he might have taken Minnesota if it had to come down to that. There was some rumors and stuff that the family did not like Morgantown. I don't know if it's true. I don't know DeVries. I don't know. But there are people that I've read and listened to, and I'm sure it's the same people you do too, that said the family did not like Morgantown. And I think that is a different place. It's just culturally different than Iowa and the Midwest. And then what does this say about West Virginia that your coach wants out right away? Because I think McCollum will be in play for that job as well, and Iowa might be in competition for McCollum for that job. And then, as you said, I pointed out, I think if Drake wins Thursday and then they would happen to win Saturday, you're opening up McCollum to a lot of stuff. Right now, I don't think he could get the Virginia job. I don't think he could get the Villanova job. But he win this weekend, those jobs are in play, and then your price just goes up.
Yeah, I mean, just look for me. I mean, that Villanova job's a really good job.
Oh, yeah, they don't have to battle football for money.
And there's a lot of money out on the East Coast. And if he wins a couple games, get to the Sweet 16, he's going to be he flies right to the top of that Villanova job. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how things pan out. And like you talked about the West Virginia, I just think it's kind of he grew up in the Midwest. I don't see McCollum going there in my opinion either, just if he saw how fast DeVries got out of there. But it's a good job. It's a better basketball job than Iowa. I just think you got to, maybe get someone from that neck of the woods. I don't know. But I don't know. McCollum, like I said, I think I will have a really good shot at getting him, if they don't go crazy here in the NCAA tournament. If they do, then you're going to have to open your playbook a little bit more and find, 3 or 4 guys. There was people talking this morning, you probably listened, that it's just like when, Bobby Stoops came in and they kind of blew the chance to get him right away, and everybody was losing their mind. And, they ended up getting Kirk Ferentz, and, I'm a huge supporter of him. And I don't think Bobby Stoops would have done a better job at Iowa than what Ferentz did. So,
well, if he did, he would have left,
which is probably true. So, but I don't even think he would have done better. I mean, the way he turned that around fast and had us, winning the Big Ten tournament, Big Ten titles. But again, it'll be interesting to see who we can get. McCollum's going to be the name, and if he's out, then I don't know where she's going to turn to.
I think you go to Nico Medvedev would be in this, and I think he's in front runner for the Minnesota job. I think you look at Brian Wardle from Bradley, Midwest guy. And then I do think you go into the Steve Forbes, Chris Jans from Iowa. Definitely a step behind a couple of these other guys, I believe, but pretty sure both those guys would take the job.
And Jans is, he's had a good year, but if he's another one, if he'd make a run to the Elite Eight or something, all of a sudden he's going to shoot up as one of the top. There's more emphasis on this tournament than the whole regular season. I mean, that 30-3 record looks great for Drake.
Right.
They get blown out here by 15 in the first round, and it's not, the luster's not quite there. I mean, I'd rather be 19-10 and make it all the way to the Sweet 16 than go 33-0. It's just the way it is.
I think it's a little bit different just because of what North Carolina is, but North Carolina is the talk of the tournament. They weren't supposed to be in it. They won by 30 last night. If they would happen to beat Ole Miss, everything's going to be talked about is North Carolina, and they should have or shouldn't have been in the tournament. I don't know. I'll be honest. I've never watched, which is amazing because I like North Carolina basketball. Didn't watch one game of theirs this year, so I don't know. But yeah, it's too much good and bad come from this tournament. Fran McCaffrey, one of the reasons he's fired is he couldn't win the games in March. And TJ Otzelberger's getting a lot of credit for getting to 2 Sweet 16s in 4 years, And the first time, last year he had a good team. I mean, it was his first team way outkicked its coverage. Should not. I mean, it was perfect situation. Tyrese Hunter went absolutely bananas against Wisconsin, and they were able to win.
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of emphasis. Back to North Carolina. I also love North Carolina, and it's kind of the football playoff talk. I mean, did Carolina deserve to get in? Probably not, but there's not one person in here who's going to say they're not a top 64 team, and you don't want to play them. I mean, RJ Davis is probably one of the top 5 guards in the country. I mean, he can drop 30 just like that. And if you watched the game last night, I think he was maybe 7 for 7 from the 3-point line. And, I wouldn't be shocked if they're favored over Ole Miss. I haven't looked at the spread, but
no, I think it, and I think Chris Williams talked right now. Iowa State would be like a 2-point favorite over North Carolina. That's it.
I mean, they're going to, it's a favorite school. So that gives, the betting public's going to get on them already, but you don't want to play them. But I mean, I think for ISU, you probably want them getting knocked out by Ole Miss, in my opinion.
I think I'd rather play Ole Miss, but you're going to have to, once you get past that first round, there's only 32 teams left.
And they're all
most
good.
of the teams are good. Every once in a while you get that, if Iowa State loses to Lipscomb, then Ole Miss or North Carolina, whoever wins that game is going to be jumping for joy.
Yeah, the bracket's open wide up when those upsets happen. And we'll have, I would say, 5 or 6 for sure that are going to get through. It's just make a bracket. It's just so darn hard to pick them because you don't, they're coming, but where are they coming from?
You just got to pick them right. You got to pick the right one. A double-digit seed is going to get to the Sweet 16. One of these first 4 is going to make a run, and it could be North Carolina. They could come out and get beat by 25 to Ole Miss. They were just on fire last night. It looked good. Everybody's talking about them for 2 days. They get a little bit of a big head, whatever you want to call it, and Ole Miss comes out and punches them right in the mouth, and you have no idea.
Yeah,
that's what's
crazy. You have no clue. Is when you think you know something, it doesn't happen that way. That's for sure. That's the beauty of the tournament.
Yeah, and that's